Welcome to the Noise and Hearing Conservation instructional video for IET 422, spring of 2009. Group members are Courtney Conley, Curtis Marshall, and Anthony Oliver.
The objectives of the project are to identify some facts of occupational noise and hearing, also to define noise, identify tools used to measure sound, and identify OSHA standards for hearing protection in general industry and construction industry.
Some basic facts regarding hearing loss. Roughly 30 million people a year are exposed to hazardous noise levels in the U.S. Noise-induced hearing loss is one of the most common occupational illnesses, and also research has shown that workplaces with proper hearing conservation lead to higher levels of productivity and lower incidences of absenteeism.
You may ask yourself, what is noise? Noise can be defined as unwanted sound, and sound can be defined as the physical phenomenon that stimulates our sense of hearing. A more technical definition for sound is an acoustic wave that results when a vibrating source, such as machinery, disturbs an elastic medium such as air.
There are a couple different instruments to measure noise level. One of the most common is a sound level meter, and it's a basic instrument used for measuring noise levels. It can be used to evaluate area noise levels, identify noise sources, estimate employee exposure, and aid in determining solutions for the noise control. A noise dosimeter is another type of sound level meter that integrates noise levels over a sampling period and calculates the noise dosage during that time. Another type of instrument used to measure sound level is an octave band analyzer. It's a type of sound level meter which can separate the monitored noise into specific frequency bands, which is necessary when analyzing noise sources to develop noise control solutions. Another type is a sound intensity analyzer. A sound intensity analyzer can measure intensity, which is a measure of both the magnitude and the direction of the sound energy.
Given here is a list of OSHA standards for both the general industry and the construction industry that will be covered in the next few slides.
The first General Industrial Protection Standard is 1910.95A, which states protection against the effects of noise exposure shall be provided when the sound levels exceed those shown in Table G16 when measured on the A scale of a standard sound level meter at slow response. When noise levels are determined by octave band analysis, the equivalent A-weighted sound level may be determined. The table G16 is located on the right.
The next general industry standard covered is 1910.95B1. This standard states that when employees are subjected to sound exceeding those listed in table G16, feasible administrative or engineering controls shall be utilized. If such controls fail to reduce sound levels within the levels of table G16, personal protective equipment shall be provided and used to reduce sound levels within the levels of the table.
OSHA Standard 1910.95I1 in the General Industry Protection Standard states that employees shall make hearing protection available to all employees exposed to an 8-hour time-weighted average of 85 decibels or greater at no cost to the employees. Hearing protectors shall be replaced as necessary by the employers. Our next General Industry Protection Standard is 1910.95I2. It states that employers shall ensure that hearing protectors are worn. It's good to see that our friends at the ATF are following this standard and using proper protection. That right, Mason?
Standard 1910.95I3 states that employees shall be given the opportunity to select their hearing protectors from a variety of suitable hearing protectors provided by the employer. As shown in the photos to the right, there is a broad range of equipment available to employees, including those which can even be attached to their hard hats.
The next standard covered is 1910.95I4, which states that employers shall provide training in the use and care of all hearing protectors provided to employees. This means that they should also be kept up to date with new hearing protection available.
OSHA Standard 1910.95 G1 says that the employer shall establish and maintain an audiometric testing program as provided in this paragraph by making audiometric testing available to all employees whose exposures equal or exceed an 8-hour time-weighted average of 85 decibels.
Here we begin to talk about construction industry protection, and it's stated in 1910-95 that requirements for permissible noise exposure and controls under the construction standard are the same as those in the general industry standard. But the construction industry has some additions, which you will see in the next couple of slides.
The first construction protection standard that is covered is 1926.52b. This standard states that when employees are subjected to sound levels exceeding those listed in Table D2 to the right of this section, feasible administrative or engineering controls shall be utilized. If such controls fail to reduce sound levels within the levels of the table, personal protective equipment, as required in Subpart E, shall be provided and used to reduce sound levels within the levels of the table.
As you can see, Table D2 from the construction protection is very similar, if not identical, to the General Industry Protection Standard, Table G16.
Construction Standard 1926.52e says that exposure to impulsive or impact noise should not exceed 140 decibels peak sound pressure level.
The next construction protection standard covered is 1926.101b. In this standard, ear protective devices inserted in the ear shall be fitted or determined individually by competent persons.
Construction Protection Standard 1926.101c is a very simple standard in that it simply says that plain cotton is not an acceptable protective device. Even though this is very simple, it's often overlooked and many times found on the job site where people just roll up cotton balls and stick them in their ears. So say no to cotton.
Given here are some decibel level protection recommendations. No protection is required for noise levels below 85 decibels. For levels between 85 and 95 decibels, gel insertable plugs should be used. For levels between 95 and 105 decibels, expanding foam insertable plugs should be used. For levels exceeding 105 decibels, muffs should be used that cover the entire ear plus some form of insertable plug.
We'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to watch our instructional video on noise and hearing conservation. The websites that we use for the standards came directly from OSHA.gov. Most of the images that you saw came from the image search on Google. And the group members for this project were myself, Courtney Conley,
Curtis Marshall,
and Anthony Oliver.
And we, again, thank you guys for your time.
That's all, folks.